Hello, everybody. Welcome to the April book club pick. I'm fine. I'm prepared. It's The Inheritance by Trisha Sakhlecha. Oh my God, we all have the book. Smarty. Amazing. I love it. So this is what we're discussing today. We're going to be spoiler free for just a second at the beginning. So if anybody is considering reading it, maybe we can sway you in one direction or the other. If you want to put an emoji in the chat, a little stabby. This is just the one from last month. Stabby one if you read it. I'm not going to give away if anyone gets stabbed. Or, a skull if you haven't read it yet and you're waiting to be convinced. I would love to see all of that. And we're going to have all of our friends introduce themselves. Maybe share with me. I do the same thing every time. I don't know why I act like I don't know what I'm about to ask you. I would like to know your name and what you read on your channel. Everyone's link is down below. So please head over to everybody's channels after. And I'd love to hear a recent favorite mystery, thriller, or horror book because we love to know the good things that are out there.
I'm Lexi. My channel is Books with Lexi. I primarily read horror mostly and then thrillers, some mystery, some romantasy recently, a little bit of sci-fi. I primarily do reading vlogs on my channel. I have a whole stack of books here. I haven't had a great reading year. I haven't had any 5-star mystery, thriller, horror books.
Oh.
So it's been really sad. But my favorites have been Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson and The Unraveling by Keeland. This one's a thriller and this one's horror. But past that, some of my horror favorites from last year, Bury Your Gaze, We Used to Live Here, and The Eyes Are the Best Part.
Nice.
And then some thrillers, The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins, Appetite for Innocence by Lucinda Berry. Yeah, I have a million books here. It's like I can't. Were there any other questions?
I think that was it. You're gonna give us a synopsis in a minute, so I'll give you a break.
All right.
Okay.
Hi.
My name is.
Sorry.
Sorry, did I go in the wrong order?
I thought we were going like this.
Which way was it?
It does not actually matter.
You go for it.
Amy, go for it. Go for it. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I'm Amy. My channel is Books with Amy Marie. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram, and I cover everything mystery. I read almost exclusively mystery. So anything from cozy mystery, murder mystery, historical fiction mystery, thrillers, anything there. Don't really do horror. It's a little too much for me usually. But those are kind of the genres I read. Some of my recent favorites have been What Never Happened by Rachel Housel Hall. That was kind of a good slow burn mystery on an island that I really loved. I've also been really into Sarah Peckinaut and Greer Hendricks, as a co-author set. They've written some really cool ones like The Wife Between Us. Absolutely gobsmacked me earlier this year. Mm-hmm. So I've really enjoyed that. And yeah, the cozy mystery wise, I really like The Popcorn Shop by Christy Abbott, which is a very different vibe. But yeah,
I'm taking
notes. A few favorites this year.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry, it is 1:00 in the morning, so brain is. It's fine. My name is Smriti, pronounced as Smithy, in case anyone's confused about it. But I usually read a lot of mysteries as well. I have had the worst reading slump of my life for the past few months. Last year was horrible. But I am getting back into it, and the last 5-star I read was actually a book that I just finished today, which is The Reformatory by Tanana
Reevdu.
Tanana Reevdu. Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you.
That's a solid one. Good.
It is so good. I was crying. It was.
Yeah, that's real.
But yeah, I really, really loved that. And the other 5-star that I read was The Dream Hotel by Leila Ramani. That was also really, really good. I really liked the sort of conversation that they were trying to have about AI and about future tech. And I thought those were really, really interesting things that they were trying to probe through these people and through these characters. I thought they did a really good job. So for me, I read anything, but I really love characters and what people do with that. So that's me. Also, if you go onto my channel and you see that like nothing's on it right now, it's fine.
She'll be back soon. She'll be back.
I'm back. I'm coming back. I started filming again. So this is good. This is my like comeback tour.
Sometimes you need a moment to pause and then you come back strong. Lexi just finished the book today, so she is going to go ahead and tell us what the book's about, if you don't know or you don't remember.
So The Inheritance is I would say it's a family drama with some mystery in it. And we are following this family that is going to an island that one of them owns. And the purpose of it is to celebrate the parents' anniversary. And also there is an inheritance coming that they all really want the money for. So they want to know what it is. And do we say somebody dies?
I think so, because it says it'll end in murder.
Yes. So somebody dies, and that's what happens.
Perfect. That's the perfect amount to give the people. Okay, I love to get into ratings, but like spoiler free. And I think a good way to do that is just to give like a 1-sentence kind of overall explanation of your rating. Yeah, so let's do that. If everyone in the chat also wants to tell us what you gave it. I've seen a mix, but it seems to hover around a 3. So I'm interested to see how everybody here feels about it. Because as usual, I have absolutely no clue. This could be someone's favorite book of all time, or they are going to rant about it this entire live show. And I can't wait to find out.
Are we starting with me again?
Go ahead, Lexi.
I am between 2 and 2.5 stars.
Okay.
I think that the mystery could have been integrated into the story better.
Sure.
And then there would have been some more intrigue and I would have liked it more.
Fair.
So I gave this like a 3.25 stars. I liked it, but I feel like this is an interesting family drama on a spooky island, but not a thriller, which is what I went into it kind of hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
I gave this a 3.5 stars, and I think the 0.5 might be because like she's Indian and I'm Indian, and I'm like,
you felt seen. That's fair.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, I know you people. But yeah, I think that this book was sort of boring with a mix of what is happening. Like I like what I like about a mystery is that I can't figure out what exactly happened in the end. And I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. It kept me guessing. So it was boring, but it kept me guessing.
Right.
Yeah.
I do prefer when the hope is that we come into a live show and everyone has like such different ratings. So everyone in the comments can also feel justified. But I also gave it a 3. So I guess we're all just kind of in the middle, and it seems like the chat is too. So I think that's actually like a good conversation to have, because it lets you talk about what you hope for in a book and where an author might like improve in your mind. I am always trying to look for a mix in the book club. Like I want things that are more thriller. I want more mystery. I want more horror. So when I pitched this, I made sure to intentionally say like, this is a family drama. I know it's a family drama, but there is a mystery. So I think that this will be an interesting thing for us to explore. And therefore, like, I feel so bad critiquing the book and saying it didn't have enough mystery, because that's not what it wanted to be. But I wanted more mystery. I really wanted the mystery to not just come in at the end. I wanted it more integrated. I feel the exact same as everybody. But at the same time, I don't think this book objectively did a single thing wrong. I understand people DNFing it and rating it really lowly for their own personal taste, but I don't think we can look at this and say it's a bad mystery book. There is a mystery. I think it was successful at many things. And I think you do have to like the family drama going into it, which I was down to read. I think it did a lot of things successfully, but it was a 3. So we're going to get into spoilers. So anybody who is still waiting, I don't think we did a good job of making anybody want to read it. So I really appreciate you guys for all showing up for the live show, even though like nobody loved it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's talk about, what's my first question? I want to know whose perspective. I'm so sorry for covering your faces. I don't know why it does this sometimes. Let's talk about characters. So there are a couple perspectives in here. And I was surprised how little perspectives there were, actually. So I want to know whose perspective you enjoyed the most between Mira and Zoe.
It was Zoe for me. I think that she was just the most different. And I liked seeing her stand up for herself when everybody else was kind of just like going with what the family wanted. But I didn't love her either.
Yeah.
For me, it was Mira. I really liked reading from the eldest daughter's perspective because I'm also an eldest daughter in my family and both in my like in-laws as well. So I kind of understand like the pressure she was feeling and that she was very type A and had like her checklists and stuff. I was like, that's absolutely me. I would absolutely be sitting there before everyone's coming like, do I have this? Do I have this? Do I have the exact bottle
the
of
organization?
Like, the preferred year of wine or something that she wanted for her father or something. I was like, I absolutely relate to that.
Yeah, I think I also like Myra's I read as Myra's perspective because I felt like I like that like her issues got solved like halfway through. So after that, she was just like sort of focusing on like other things. Whereas Zoe was just so like involved with like, did you speak to your father? Did you speak to your father? And she was like, I didn't speak to my father. So she was just so irritated with that whole thing that like that sort of took away from it for me. But I felt like Myra was just more present in other plot lines of the book. So that's why I preferred reading from Myra's perspective as well. Yeah, more. But
I think most people are saying, oh, actually, it's a mix, you know. Zoe was, well, for me, I preferred Myra. How did the audiobook say it?
I think it was Myra in the audiobook.
I'll try to remember that. Myra at the beginning, because I wasn't liking Zoe's like influencer perspective.
Oh, I didn't like that either.
I always have like a mixed feeling about influencer stuff because like either I don't feel like the representation is very good or they're just really obnoxious and it's kind of the classic stereotype of an influencer. And she really was that, which was just like really obnoxiously fake. But at the same time, she had a goal behind it and like she knew what she was doing and she seemed to be intelligent in a lot of ways. So but I know that I preferred Myra at the beginning and then I preferred Zoe by the end because Myra's chapters started ending up being so much about, child loss and pregnancy loss. And that was just difficult to read. So I preferred to not be reading about it, to be honest. I think that it's so interesting. I don't know if I posed this question to you in preparation. But I want to know, like, do you think there should have been more POVs and what POV do you wish that we got? Because I was thinking throughout the book, I was waiting for more to come into play. And what I think this book does well is the character work. I think that for me, maybe it's because I'm reading it with the book club in mind. And so I'm intentionally distinguishing them. But I think the characters were really well fleshed out as individuals. I never got anybody mixed up. And I think that exploring like their childhood trauma and all of their relationships, we find out things like they lost a sibling and there's all of the pregnancy and child loss. It gives you reasoning behind how they act later on. And even if you can't empathize with them, I think you can understand where everyone's coming from and like the childhood trauma, the family responsibilities. And I think I would have liked to see that from all of the characters. I would have liked to be in maybe everyone's mind. And I'm curious why she only chose two perspectives. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if I needed everybody, but I feel like especially the other sister, Aisha, I don't remember how the audiobook said that. I think that one would have been interesting, especially things that come into play later in the book. Yeah, but I don't know. I think it could have been too confusing with everybody, but I think one more could have been good.
I would have liked to read from the brother Asim's perspective, because I wanted a fair look at their marriage, because I felt like Zoe was really like intensely passionate about him, really loved him, really wanted this future together, but I didn't feel like he returned that emotion. At least his actions didn't follow it. So I kind of wanted to see where he was in his mind, like his headspace. I think that would have been interesting.
Yeah, that's a great point, because especially like at the end when they are like fighting outside together and we think that he's attacking her and stuff, I would have liked to see a build up to that, and like, did he feel resentful towards her throughout the story? Because we don't really get his thoughts. We get dialogue from him, but we don't get in his head.
Yeah, I think same for me. I would have liked to hear more from Asim, because like, as they keep saying in the book, that he like holds things in and he doesn't say things. So if he's holding things in, I would have liked to see what was inside his mind. And especially I think it would have given you some like context, as you said, to how things were like sort of building up. But yeah, I would also like, I know that it would work against the book, but I would like to see what like the mom was thinking.
Yeah.
What Shalini was thinking. I thought that like that was really like, I was like, huh. Like I was fully gonna come onto the show and kind of like defend Indian mother-in-laws and be like, oh, this is how, like, they usually are. They're just very like ingrained in people's lives.
They have
like,
such good intentions.
Yeah, it's all good intentions, Gond laddus, all of that. Like I was just like, oh yeah, this is totally how things are. And then I was like, oh no, no. Oh, nope, that's not.
Yeah, it was hard to get a read on her. I mean, we'll talk about like reveals in a little bit, but I couldn't tell. Like I was going back and forth the entire book. I was like, are we supposed to see her as like too meddlesome or really loving? Like I really couldn't tell. And obviously I think that's intentional. So that was successful.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is so typical for an Indian household, even like in those really like fancy, rich, households where you're just like the mother is so overbearing. But
I'm somebody who I found to like just one perspective or every perspective. And if there's two, but there's so many main characters, I'm just like spending so much of my time wondering why and wondering like when we're going to get the next one. And I was waiting so long to get someone else's perspective. And I thought it was going to be like a big moment that we were going to get someone else's perspective. And then we didn't. So that was a bit of a letdown. Somebody said Stu would have been a good one. And I wrote that down, the caretaker. I think or just in general, if we got like an unnamed narrator who was the one like skulking around the island.
Yeah.
Because then, especially if you had a male narrator on the audiobook, you could wonder, is this Papa? Is it Owen? Is it Gabe? Like there's so many men it could have been. And that would have been interesting, especially if it was from Stu. And then because one of my favorite like reveals is that Stu has like no ill intention.
Oh my God, that was my favorite reveal. Like I was just like, he was like, no, I want to make money off this. I don't want to.
Like he just loved the land and like was actually really supportive. Like I loved that.
Yeah. And he was like, I'm not going to kill you. I was like, oh, that was one of my favorite reveals.
It was also really funny to watch him like cackling about the fact that they thought that he was going to kill them. And he just like laughed in their face. It was so funny.
Yeah. He was like, this gun is for killing rabbits. It's not going to kill you. Like.
Okay, my next question is, was this a tone you enjoyed? And I think we've kind of all covered it already. The fact that it was more drama, less mystery. But if anyone else has any thoughts regarding that, let me see. Okay, everyone's agreeing. It's all about Stu. So, okay, let's see. Did you like how the mystery was laid out? So like, did you like, at what point we got certain mysteries? Maybe let me throw up the mysteries that we have in here. So there's a question of who dies. Obviously, we know there's a murder. The mystery is who killed that person. Then there's somebody who's trolling Zoe, who's like leaving evil messages, which is like sidebar. Why didn't you just block them? That seemed like a kind of an easy solution. So somebody's like sending her messages, like knowing where she is, knowing what she's doing. And then who's responsible for the sibling death? Because I'm not sure at what point in the book, maybe like a third, a half of the way in, we find out that one of the siblings from the family has died. And we get to wonder from that point forward who did it and what happened. And I think that for me, I do like how that mystery was laid out, because I like when books introduce a new mystery halfway through, because then you can't necessarily say, oh, I could predict the entire thing, because you didn't know there was going to be a second mystery.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just wish that everything that was like revealed at the end was revealed slowly throughout. Like it felt like just a lot all at once and a lot of time where nothing was happening for me. Like I liked how we started off with the character running through the woods being like, oh, I killed somebody. I feel like that added to the intrigue, but then there was nothing for a very long time, and I was like, okay, can we get back to that? Even though that really wasn't what it was doing. So kind of on me, but yeah.
I agree. I think it was too much of a slow burn for me. I would have moved up the inheritance reveal a bit earlier for more drama.
Oh, yeah.
Given it more time to build, had the murder happen a bit earlier, and I would have loved maybe like an added point of view after the murder. I would have loved to see it from one of the parents' points of views, maybe, to see kind of what their thoughts were and how, because it seemed like all the siblings really distanced themselves after that. We're like, okay, actually, we're going to London, we're moving away. Like, they didn't seem like they wanted a whole lot to do with their parents. I would have wanted to see how they felt about, like, what their thoughts were. Was it worth it? The family loyalty that they kept pushing.
That's a great point, because, sorry, I didn't even think the inheritance is also a mystery. It's a mystery of who's going to get the inheritance at all. And when it's revealed that he's actually just going to stay on the business, things could have gotten a lot more dark at that point, because then people are realizing that they're not going to get the money, and maybe now there's an extra like tension that could be added. You're so right.
Yeah, same. I feel like if we had maybe gotten the murder a little before, and then just seen the repercussions of it as well, because I feel like after we saw the murder, that everything was just so rushed. I would just have liked to see that happen a little more, and just see what was going on in everyone's like sort of mind, be it from like whoever's perspective, but just like seeing that a little more, because that adds to the anxiety, etc. But like I feel like the before the murder part, we were just sort of like waiting and wondering what was happening. So yeah.
As far as the reveals, could you predict them? So there's who dies, who killed them, who's the troll, who is responsible for the death. Which ones could you clock? Which ones were a surprise for you?
I don't read trying to figure things out.
That's a good way to go.
I tried to like not have that part of my brain turned on at all, because I want to be as surprised as possible. So like, I don't know, maybe if I thought about it, some of them would be, but I still think I would have been surprised by at least something, because there were a lot of things going on.
I wasn't surprised by who was murdered, because I figured it was going to be either Zoe or Gabe, because the book was so focused on family loyalty above all else that I had a hard time seeing it kind of turn against itself. I didn't predict who the troll was. That actually really surprised me, because I didn't get the feeling that she was super, like, she didn't seem like she was ever on technology, really. Like, it was never mentioned. And I know the island didn't really have Wi-Fi, but I didn't get the impression that maybe she was super up on it. And then I think in the later chapters it was mentioned like she didn't really keep track of finances or really do much with the business. So I was kind of surprised that she was so up on that. So I was like surprised by some things, but some things were kind of like, okay, like I guess so.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised by a lot of it. I didn't think Zoe would die because I thought that like she has the baby and like they were just all so excited about that. So I didn't think that I thought like Asim would die or someone else would die. I thought that would be or like Myra or like someone, but I didn't think Zoe would. I thought Zoe would be the killer because she was so like desperate and like just like, oh my god, like you don't know what I'm gonna do. And like just like the sort of like I thought like she would like just devolve and like kill the father or something like that. But I was like, oh, that's too obvious, that won't happen. But like I don't know, I was just like, oh, I was quite surprised by the way things sort of turned. And as for like the sibling death thingy, that one I did figure out. That was the only thing I did sort of. I didn't figure out like what exactly, like why. That was like whoa, okay, auntie is up to something. But yeah, like I figured out that bit. That was the only thing that I could sort of see. What I did think was weird though was that when they announced the engagement, or like right before the engagement, when Zoe and Aisha were talking, she was like, oh, like she's like, they were talking about Gabe, and then Aisha was like, he reminds me of Ishan, like her twin brother. And I was like, this is the guy you're gonna marry. Like, why would you say that?
I didn't even notice that.
I was like, why would you say? Because I thought Ishan, at that point in time, they didn't tell us who Ishan was. It was the first time like Ishan was being like spoken about. So I thought Ishan was like an ex or something like that. So I was like, oh, okay, Ishan's like a person who she dated at one point of time or something. And then he was like, no, my twin brother.
Yeah,
That was
beautiful.
I think the only thing that I thought for sure is that the dad wouldn't be killed because it was so easy to think it was going to be him.
Yeah.
There were so many mentions of it, and it was such a red herring that I felt like it was a red herring. It was like every chapter, I feel like for a minute ended with like, and now Papa will never be able to do anything again. And I'm like, clearly he's not dead. And they're like, Papa can't figure this out now. And I'm like, okay, obviously something else is happening. Okay, let me think. Who died? I didn't think it was ever going to be Zoe. Never in my wildest dreams did I think they were going to kill a pregnant woman. I never thought the author would do that. So good on her. Never thought that would happen. The killer being Mama, I don't think I saw that coming. When her husband killed her, I was like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. I believe that happened. So then it was revealed that it was her, and I wish we had more time to sit with that for sure, because it was like, I don't know, I felt like on the last page, and it was just like, oh, okay, I guess. Who was the troll? I saw that one coming, but I didn't actually think about. It was a great point, Amy, that like, when was she on technology? Like, how was she actually doing it? But I think that it's just so easy to think that the older woman wouldn't be on Instagram, and so I was pretty quickly like, it's probably her, because she's really meddlesome behind the scenes. And then as far as who was responsible for the sibling death, I wasn't really thinking about it, I don't think. It just felt like a really sad thing that I think maybe I assumed nobody was really responsible, and therefore everybody felt responsible. It was just like a tragedy that kind of happened. My next is, are there any theories that didn't pan out? I know, Lexi, you just said you don't really think about things like that.
No, head empty.
But I love to theorize what's happening. So if anyone has anything that they thought for sure was going to happen and then didn't, I'd love to know.
I thought that the house was going to burn down.
Ooh.
I really thought the house was going to burn down. I was just like, oh, like, I mean, even with that little electrical wiring issue or something like that. And I thought like that island, they were just going to be like, fuck it, now it's done. This is what happened. 5,000 years ago, it's happening again, like, so I really thought the house was going to burn down. That was my theory, that the house will burn down.
I thought the social media username that the mom was using, like the troll username, was going to have some meaning or some kind of reveal with it. I think it was just like NB _ like Slayer or something. And I want to know, does that stand for anything? Like, unless I just didn't put it together.
Yeah.
I thought it would stand for something like that would reveal the killer somehow, or like
Yeah, I
the
wonder if
person
it
doing
did.
it.
Maybe none of us noticed. Maybe it did. Maybe someone in the chat knows, or maybe someone can like ask the author.
I thought it was like Envy was like nobody or something.
Maybe.
That's real. Oh yeah.
Oh.
See, I'm glad it didn't have a supernatural twist, because then Amy would have been out. If this turned into like horror,
I was kind of like, some ghosts would be good here.
Yeah.
did we get an answer to this? And I'm just forgetting.
I think
I
it was
think it was
old wiring.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, very good coincidence.
Oh, my theories. Okay. One of my theories was I thought Gabe hitting on Zoe. I thought Zoe was being set up by Aisha. Because Zoe and Aisha had a bit of like their friendship dynamic seemed a little bit questionable. And I thought that maybe when we had that scene where Gabe was like touching her and flirting with her, I thought maybe Aisha was trying to see if Zoe was like a real friend or not. Because in my mind, something that I was hoping throughout the entire book, and I guess is a theory, is that everyone was a little more malicious than they actually were. I thought that maybe everybody came there like ready to kill somebody or like ready to reveal a secret, and it was going to get really dark. And I think especially because at the end, there's kind of like a message of like family loyalty, yay, because they all work together, but they're all bad people, right? This is a terrible situation that they framed a man for the murder of Zoe. And so the fact that they're all bad people in the end, if you're gonna do that, just make them bad the whole time. Like,
I agree.
dark.
I wanted so much more from them in that aspect. I feel like I would have been more invested in the family drama if there felt like more drama.
Mm-hmm. Like if it wasn't just because there was a lot of like reflections on how we've hurt each other in the past. And if there was more active stuff that's like they're gossiping about each other and like people are in danger, that could have been more fun.
Yeah. I would have liked to see like a little more of the sibling dynamic, like just with each other as well. I thought that we saw some bits of it, but we didn't really see a lot of it, especially with Aisha. They just sort of babied her and she was just sort of on the side. And while you could see like a reason for Asim wanting the money and the reason for Myra wanting the money, we didn't really see like Aisha. And I feel like, and she was just such a fiery character as well. So yeah, I would have liked to see a little more like ruthlessness from her, but she was just like, no, peace, I don't care. So cool.
I think I completely agree. And I think that what you touched on as far as like relationships between people explored more, I find it really interesting that at the beginning of the book, it was in one of the first chapters, it said that they all hadn't been in the room together in 20 years. And I noted that down because later in the book, I never felt like that. It never felt like it was a real reunion. It felt like they had all been in contact this entire time. Well, it didn't specifically say 20 years. It said since the funeral. And then we didn't find out until later that the funeral was 20 years ago.
I was thinking that it was like an adult for the longest time. And then they're like,
unless there was a funeral that I'm not remembering.
I don't
No, the funeral for the kids, for Myra's kids.
Oh,
wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay,
So
because
just a couple years ago.
I was so confused because I kept waiting for them to explain why they haven't been together in so long.
Oh no,
I needed someone to correct me. Okay, good.
Together all the time. That's yeah.
I had the same thought, and I was like, "This makes no sense," but we're gonna go with it.
Because she said my life was falling apart in that moment. She was like, I haven't seen that. We haven't all been together since my life was falling apart. And I kept thinking back to that once we found out that the twin died. And I was like, why would she say her life was falling apart? Everyone's lives were falling apart. I've been confused about that since. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
The dynamics between everybody.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a favorite scene or quote? It's so interesting how this book to me was not tabbable. There wasn't a lot of moments that I was like, oh my God, this is really interesting or really beautiful. There was actually one, because I was listening to the audiobook for the first like half of it. one quote, but I didn't write it down. And so I don't actually know what it was, but there was like one moment where they were sitting together at a table, and I can't remember who it was, but someone was being like pushy in the family against somebody. And somebody said like, family, just because like you're family or just because you're close doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries or something like that. And I thought that was a good moment to have in the book, but that's the only thing I jotted down.
Yeah, I like the moment with Stu when he was literally not unless you want me to. Like, that was so funny. But other than that, there wasn't really anything that stood out to me, like, as we were going.
I liked the scene where Zoe was telling Asim off, and then his mother came in as well, and she kind of confronted him about what happened all those years ago with the twin Ishan. I thought that was good. I was like waiting for it to build. I was like, is she finally going to get, I don't know, like is the rest of the family going to find out what she did? Like, is this going to like come back to haunt her? I also really liked the final chapter and kind of just this casual reveal at like it was like a cafe or something. I think they were just eating and relaxing, and it was like, oh, it was, you know, it wasn't me. Like, no one ever asked me if I did it, and that made my heart break. Like, I couldn't believe no one actually asked him if he did it. They just assumed, and I was like, if my siblings assumed I did that, even if it looked really bad, like, I would feel so broken for that.
Yeah, and then they all just protected him in that moment.
Yeah, nobody actually asked questions. So I was like, does anybody else besides him and now Myra and Owen, does anyone else know? Like, does Papa even know that she did it? Like, I was like, I have no idea. And I was kind of, a theory I had earlier was, I was like, what if there was like one more chapter and it was from Asim's perspective and it was him like mailing evidence to the police or something? Like, that would have been, I would have just felt so satisfied in that moment personally. I don't know, just to see him maybe break free a little bit and maybe live his life.
Yeah. I agree. There were some good questions. There are some good conversations about the dynamic of fertility and child loss. And I think that that was one relationship I appreciated, was their marriage and how we got to see them kind of fall apart and come back together. That felt really beautiful in some ways. But it was still hard to read.
Yeah, that was hard to read. But for me, I think like, as Amy said, like the end was, I was like, what? Like, I was really like out of it. I was like, okay, cool, it's almost done. And then it was like, Mama. And I was like, oh. And to answer your question, I don't think the family will know, because then Papa and Aisha don't know about the whole Ishan situation and what exactly happened at that point in time. So, like, they will never, and that's the reason why she kills Zoe, because she doesn't want people to know. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's my perspective. I don't think that like the family's gonna find out. Yeah, that was the reason, because she didn't want people to know about her affairs and about like just generally like taking Asim away from her, and like her losing her like sort of foothold on him, and like just their whole dynamic, and just like her threatening to like reveal all these secrets that she has kept.
Yeah. So, I think it's definitely a mix of like wanting to keep her own secrets, but also, you know, she has experienced trauma as well. Not that it takes away from anything that she has done, but you can see how everybody is impacted by the death of this child. And obviously, because we didn't open the book knowing that there was this death in the family, you can't expect any of it, but it really does navigate how all of these people are impacted. And her mental health is absolutely shaken because her child is dead, whether she's responsible or not, or whether she did the right thing and people took the blame for it. She's really badly affected, and the idea of losing possibly another one of her children to the marriage, you know, is getting scary. So,
yeah.
Okay. What did you think of the epilogue? I hate an epilogue kind of in general. Like, I don't want just one chapter that like lays out, I historically hate the epilogue that's like, and they lived happily ever after and they had 3 children and they're running around in a flower field and they're all so happy. I don't love an epilogue like that. So I think I appreciate it more in a mystery book, but it was just, there was way too much in it, I think. It was like, this character's here, this character's here, this character's here. And I actually don't even remember half of it now.
I literally was like, what happened in the epilogue?
Aisha's in Belize. Myra is adopting a child.
Right.
Oh, I don't.
In London.
I don't want
think
any of that.
Back handling the business. No, they sold the business ultimately.
Right.
Then who else? Now Stu is handling the island.
Oh yeah. Because he had good goals for it.
Yeah, he had good goals for it. So Stu is managing the island now.
I wrote down it all somewhere and now I can't find it. I wrote down where everyone is, but where is it in my notes? Not sure.
Yeah, I'm not somebody that needs like a nice wrapped up happily ever after for people in these kinds of stories. So I don't know. It's not for me. I would be fine without it, but I know some people like answers.
I like epilogues. I like the answers, but I don't like it when they leave you with so many questions from the answer. Because when we found out it was Mama, I was like, wasn't she inside with everyone else? Did no one miss her? Like, where, like, how did she get to Zoe? And it sounded like Zoe was hit over the head with something. Like, was she physically able to overpower Zoe, who seemed like she was pretty fit? Like, how, I wanted to know the logistics of how she actually like carried that out. And like, was Assam there? Like, did he not step between them, or did he step away from Zoe and leave her and then the mom came? Like, I wanted to know the layout.
Else.
Yeah.
You want a map?
Yes.
He was over here, with the knife.
Because we know he was holding his wife's body and covered in blood, and that's why everyone assumed.
Yeah, he got there so quickly.
Yeah. So I was like, did he hear her scream? Did he see, like, he must have seen his mom then? Like, or did he just put it together later?
I reread the very first page because that's from the perspective of like, oh, I just killed somebody. And it says that someone's like standing inside and sees her like coming back and then is like, what have you done? But I feel like, does that make any sense with what happened at the end? Because wasn't he, I don't know.
I thought he followed her out.
No.
Is that for sure a chapter from the person who killed them?
I think that's from Asim's perspective.
Yeah, I wonder.
Or from Aisha's perspective, maybe, because she saw the body with Asim.
Maybe that's why? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's Aisha, because she also had blood on her.
I also feel like it mentioned that Zoe was really tall.
Yeah. No, so the way I saw it was like they were arguing and like Asim was probably like turned away or something like that. And like Zoe was like screaming at him and trying to tell him like, listen to me. And because the mother was also like there, right? When he stormed off and Zoe sort of followed. And I think the mom would have like followed them as well. Like just like kept a distance because she just always overhears everything that like they're saying anyway. And then she saw that this was like coming to it and she was just losing her mind because she was like getting accused by Zoe and like all of this trauma sort of came up and she just hit, because it says that like, oh, and then she was hit over the head with the stone. And I think that like she got away with it because she ran back quickly, whereas Asim was with Zoe still and was with
Right.
I think that's what happened. I think that she just like snapped when she was hearing everything that Zoe was saying because she was like overhearing the conversation with Asim.
I think I would read from her again a couple books from now. Like, I would like to see how the trajectory of her career goes, because I know she published 2 books before this. They were only published by a UK publisher. This is her first one published in North America. And I don't know yet, like, what the future of her writing looks like. Like, if it's going to stay in the family drama sense, maybe not. But if she goes in a direction of like more thrilling, I do think I would enjoy that. And I had zero issues with the writing of this. And sometimes when I'm reading a thriller or mystery, it's like the writing that I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I don't understand what you're talking about. So I would read from her again, maybe 2 more books from now, something else that intrigues me, that goes in a more thriller direction for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like if somebody gave me a reason to read her next one, I'd probably pick it up because whatever. But yeah, I agree. Maybe in the future, but I'm not dying to at the moment.
Yeah.
I would definitely read something from her in the future. I loved how atmospheric her writing felt with like the spooky island. Like I thought the island in itself was almost a character, which is something I love in a thriller or mystery, is like when the setting almost becomes a character. And I feel like if she does that again, and if like the plot sounds interesting in a future book, I would definitely grab it.
I think for me, I'm a little biased because she's Indian, and I'm like, support Indian authors.
Yeah.
So I would read her for sure. I think that she has a lot of potential. I'd heard a lot about, like, I think her first book, which was set in a boarding school or something like that. And I didn't read that one, but like this one was good. Not excellent, but I think that she has potential and yeah, Indian. I'll read.
I mean, when publishing steers so white all the time, it's like we need to platform authors. Like,
Yeah.
I often find when I pick Literally Dead Book Club, like I was surprised the amount of people who popped into the live show because I haven't seen a lot of people posting about it. And I was like, this is going to be another one where people aren't picking it up. But I'm glad that everyone came out for the discussion. My last question is any book and movie recommendations that remind you of this? Either like they did it better, or if you liked this, you would recommend it. Anything to bring to the table. I would love some recommendations.
I have my stacks here again.
Yay!
I have a couple inheritance books. The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. The Death of Mrs. Westaway is
that's a good one.
Pretty classic one. Are those the only two I have? If you're looking for like island, more like remote things, Her Dark Lies by J.T. Ellison and You're Invited. Different vibes, but if you like that. And then if you like the family drama aspect of it, I do have a horror, Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. So those are some of my recs, but none of them are like super on par with this one.
Yeah.
Definitely more thriller than family drama.
I found that too when I was looking at my shelves. I was like, I've never read anything that is the perfect comp for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say if you're looking for something that is like a slow burn but more mystery, and you like an island setting where it's like isolated and kind of creepy like that, and some good family backstories, I loved What Never Happened by Rachel Housel Hall. That one takes place on an island. The main character is actually writing obituaries. It's really quite ominous, and there's a lot to do with her family and her family past. So I feel like that one can kind of has some themes that go along with that. And then I also just in general love Jessie Q Satanto's writing, both cozy mysteries but also her thrillers. I read You Will Never Be Me last year, and that one kind of reminds me of Zoe with the social media influencers, and involves 2 social media influencers, one who kind of helps the other one grow, and then the one who she was helping grow like far surpasses her in terms of like following and all of that, and she's very bitter, and it's kind of about what she does and how she messes with her, and it's really entertaining.
Nice.
Yeah, I think everyone said it already, but Succession, obviously.
I've never seen it.
I haven't either.
I haven't either.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think if for me, if you want to read more Indian mystery people, then like reach out to me. I can't think of any right now, but in terms of like I have videos on my channel where you can check that out. Like Indian mystery thrillers, we do a good job. So but yeah, in terms of family drama, there is a book that I definitely want to recommend if you are a Shakespeare fan and if you like King Lear. there is a book called We That Are Young by this author called Preeti Taneja, who's like this British Indian author. And she has basically written King Lear, which is obviously a very big family drama sort of thing, but like in an Indian modern day context. And it is so good. If you like, and I know Killer, you like King Lear, it is like scene for scene, but in the Indian context and in like a modern Indian sort of thing, but like scene for scene. So I was like, oh. So as a person who really likes King Lear, and King Lear is one of my favorite Shakespearean plays, that I just like ate it up, and I thought that it was really good, and it did a really good job there. So family drama, family dynamics, very similar. It's about inheritance. It's about like three siblings again, in terms of like who will get the share, who's going to hold the company. Like again, the third daughter is the most loved. Very similar vibes, but just it's not like a thriller. It's just family drama, and it's just King Lear. But
Interesting. I like that me and Lexi are like, I don't know anything similar. And you're like, I've got the book.
Yeah.
The book? You want it? I've got it. Okay. As far as no, go ahead.
No, I was like, I was counting off like.
Oh, you know all of them.
Yeah.
As far as like literally the book club picks we've had before, I would say if you liked The Inheritance, like you like the vibes and you want something that goes like more in a thrilling direction, we just read You're Fatally Invited, which takes place on an island. Last year we read The Family Game, which if you like wealth and status and somebody going into a home where they're kind of uncomfortable, You're Invited is a fantastic book. This one has not gotten its flowers. Like,
it's so good.
It needs to find its audience better. I love that you mentioned it because this has such a low average rating. It's so good. And it's
people are wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they're wrong.
I love that. Thank you. I'm so justified in my pick. It's like there are these little interviews from various people, and like you get random aunties who are like having the stupidest takes. Oh, I love it. Okay, what else did I have? I haven't actually read this one, but I feel like Night of the Storm might be similar.
Ooh, I enjoyed that.
Okay, it has a family. It's also an Indian author, and somebody dies in the house, right? So it's isolated in that way. If you really did enjoy this as far as a family drama, and like the mystery doesn't matter to you, there's something about Alice's Island that I feel like this is something for like general fiction fans, but they want just a touch of mystery. There's this woman who her husband has died, and she just goes to like live on this island where he died to find out the secrets of his past. And I thought it was so well written. And then you might like I'll Never Tell by Catherine Mackenzie, which I can't remember. It's a bunch of siblings, and they go to like a summer camp that they used to spend their childhood at, and it uncovers all of like their family secrets. I think that's all I have. Kind of Gillian Flynn, like Dark Places and Sharp Objects, if you want a little more sinister of a family thing. And this is my number one recommendation because I'm always looking for books that read like The Fall of the House of Usher. Watch. That is one of my favorite shows. And it really is a diabolical, sick, evil family. But it's in a fantasy way. So it's like horror. It's so good. It's so good. And I need everyone to go watch it. So that is our full discussion for the book that I don't know where I put it now. I lost it. But this is our next month's pick. If anybody hasn't seen the announcement, it is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang. I think in the UK it might just be called Bat Eater. It's by Kylie Lee Baker. And I'm going to be joined next month by Katie and Jan. And we're going to be discussing this. And if you're looking for something that does lean horror and explores trauma and gets really gory, Amy, this one's not for you.
I'm too much of a wimp.
This is the next month's pick because I feel like after going from a family drama a little bit slow, like this is going to be the disgusting thing that some people are looking for. So I'll see you then. Thank you everybody for joining the discussion today. I really appreciate your time, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.